Maria Helena de Senna Fernandes has been director of the Macao Government Tourism Office since 2012. Born and bred in Macau, she is fluent in English, Cantonese, Mandarin and Portuguese. Senna Fernandes studied business administration and marketing, and following her graduation worked in a bank. She joined the board of the Macao Government Tourism Office in 1988. Over the years, she has earned widespread respect for her diplomacy, her intellect, and her innovative ideas. Good to see you, Helena.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for taking this interview. And welcome to CGTN.
My pleasure, thank you.
Well, this is really a special year, special moment, and here we're having this talk because this is indeed the year marking the 20th anniversary of Macao's return to China.
Exactly.
And you were born and raised in Macao?
I was born and raised in Macau, and they call us the Macanese, which means that I'm from mixed parents. My father has his roots from Portugal, and then my mom is obviously Chinese. And so that's why we are part of the history of Macau.
Part of the history, that's a very interesting term. But is it a big community, people like yourself?
Nowadays, it's not so big as before, but there is still quite a lot of us. And then we always say that the Macanese communities, besides being in Macau, we are also all over the world. This year also happens to be the year that they come back to Macau for what we call the encuentro, which means a gathering of the Macanese communities. Every 3 years we have this kind of big gathering, and people come from, well, all over the world.
What was the picture like, say, 20 years ago? Do you still remember the day when the handover was taking place 20 years ago?
Very, very cold day, and I...
Very cold day.
It really was.
And you were already with the Tourism Bureau?
Yes, I was already with the Tourist Office, and then because many different departments also send their staff over to help in the handover ceremony itself. So we were there at the handover ceremony. Basically, the entire Macau was working for the handover, in some way or another. So
what was the atmosphere like with people in Macau at the time, the handover, or maybe a few years leading to the handover to 1999?
Right.
What was it like?
In Macau, it's very, everybody was kind of like, okay, waiting for the handover to happen. Actually, the 2 years leading up to the handover, we were experiencing quite a difficult time in Macau at that point in time. And whenever we look at on Hong Kong TV news, the ruins of St. Paul's coming out, you would anticipate, okay, something bad is happening. At that point in time, we did have issues about security in Macau. So at that point in time, everybody was looking forward to the handover because we all believed that, better days are coming. Of course, some would feel that, well, we're not sure exactly what's going to happen in the future, how are the days to be. But I think the majority of Macau would look at the handover as a very positive thing happening, and then, and looking at the handover to solve a lot of our issues.
This is something major happening with Macau, people in Macau. And 2 years ago, the same thing happened with Hong Kong. Yes. To be honest, if it happened to me, I don't know what would happen, in 2 years' time or in 3 years' time. So people were actually looking forward to this to happen.
I can't say 100%. Of course, there are different sentiments among different peoples. But I would say that the majority or the vast majority are looking forward to the handover at that point in time. And then also some of my colleagues have left, especially my Portuguese colleagues. Some of them have left Macau or are leaving Macau at that point in time. But the majority of, especially people who are from Macau ourselves, majority of us are looking forward to the handover.
And Macanese people?
Yes. Yes.
They were also leaving, or they were staying?
No, some. Some were leaving, some were staying. Interestingly, some who have left have actually come back.
They have?
Yes. Some are taking a more conservative way of, okay, we're not sure exactly what's happening. Let's do something else and then see what's happening. But then I would say that even some of my Portuguese colleagues have come back.
All right. Because not long ago, I had a visit to Macau and I had the chance to talk to people in Macau, and they were saying, also talking about 20 years ago, well, people were, like you said, looking forward to the handover because they believed that it couldn't be worse. You had your security issues, and it was only like 2 years after the financial crisis,
right.
and you had all these problems at the time.
Yeah.
That was seen as an opportunity to change over those negativities, say,
right.
with Macau. So things did happen that way, hopefully.
Well, it did, obviously. Especially when you feel that very much, especially if you are in my line of trade, in tourism, is an industry which can be easily affected by a lot of factors.
Very sensitive to the
very
environment.
Sensitive to economic issues. If you don't have money, you won't travel. If you are insecure about your future in terms of your job security, you won't travel, because you want to stay put and make sure that you are still in a job. You won't travel to places which are, which there is a travel warning or a travel advisory against. So that security, economic issues, all these have to play, on the tourism side. So for us, we do feel a very, very strong positive change after the handover. Obviously, a lot of work has been done in terms of security to make sure that the place is secure, the place is safe for for people to live in and for people to travel. And so and then from then onwards, we can start rebuilding the positive image for Macau. We need to invite media people from all over the world to come and see for themselves exactly how Macau has developed after the handover, and then they go back and report on it. And we have to work together with our own industry to come up with new products, new packages, and then of course different things to sell in different markets. We have to tailor events, or we have to tailor activities, or even particularly products at different markets.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is working, and it's working well, because before Macau was known mainly as the gaming center, the gaming city, and now you have... It still is, but at the same time you have so much more than that. Last time when I visited Macau, people were preparing for the Grand Prix, the car race event, and you had the film festivals.
Coming up,
yeah, and you have all these different events, because it's now Macau as the leisure center instead of just the gaming center.
Well, a lot of things have happened since the handover. We're talking about, say, for example, okay, the gaming concessions opened up in 2002, and then 2005 we got the UNESCO giving us the Historic Center of Macau as UNESCO World Heritage, and then onwards, a lot of new hotels being built. The concessionaires themselves also need to prove that they are doing, besides gaming, also other kinds of things in Macau. So they are also building new hotels, new attractions. They are also doing new events. A lot of work has been done, and then a lot of things have happened, and that's why we are what we are now.
If you look at the numbers, say the GDP per capita was $15,000 and now it's nearly 90,000 per capita these years. It's a huge jump, huge development.
True.
But again, I would like to go back to people's lives in Macau. So, I mean, these numbers could be great, but are they feeling the differences, the changes happening in Macau? Because at the same time, you're an official, but you're also a citizen. You're also a witness. You see what is going on in the society. I
would say, the money that we've got through a lot of developments happening, tourism and other kinds of sectors, they've been actually given, the government has been trying to give as much as possible back to the population. That's why now we have, well, you would have heard that every year we have what we call the money sharing, or whichever way you look at it. It's like, okay, everybody has a stake in Macau, so that's why we are all receiving some dividends. That's one. And then besides that, we have 15 years of free education. We have healthcare, and a lot of other benefits.
15 years means up to high school, before college.
Up to high school, basically from when kids go into kindergarten until they finish their secondary schools. And then what happens in the tertiary education? We also have a lot of subsidies going into tertiary education. So that's happened a lot. And then if you look at even the education scene, I mean tertiary education. When we're talking about 20 years ago, we only had now what we call the University of Macau, but previously the University of East Asia. And then now you've seen a lot more higher education development going on in Macau, and then our students are also going all over the world to study. Besides, they're furthering their studies in Macau. There are a lot of benefits if you'd like. Or we would say that there are a lot of things that the government has been trying to give back to the population.
Well, happy to be living in Macau. Good for you, good for them,
happy.
good for everyone in Macau.
At least I'm happy living in Macau. Yeah.
Especially for the younger generation, it seems everything has been taken care of. The unemployment rate, 1.9%.
Unemployment rate has been below 2% for quite a long time.
So that basically is saying everyone has a job.
If you want a job, I believe that I believe that there are always ways to get a job. And some would decide, okay, I would take it easy. Some would decide that I would not want to work harder. So it's really up to the person who wants to decide. And our education, I can say, you have a lot of choices. If you want, your parents can send you to international schools. If not, you can always stay in the more traditional schools. And if you want to choose your teaching medium, either can be Chinese, Portuguese, English. That's also very free. So there are a lot of choices, particularly for the younger generation.
Sounds like paradise.
Well, paradise. but I would say that there are also complaints. Yeah,
there are always complaints, right? So what do they complain about?
Too many tourists. So yes, in my line of work, of course, we hear a lot of people complaining about so many tourists. So we're trying to find a way to balance it out.
Yeah, it's a small city.
Yes, its size. At this point in time, transportation is still an issue sometimes, particularly in peak hours. And then there is when we're talking about too many tourists, especially over weekends and especially on the very big holidays. Our biggest traveling group, visiting Macau are from mainland. A lot of work needs to be done. We need to be smarter. Nowadays, we're always talking about smart city, smart tourism, so we need to be smarter in the future. But I think that there are ways to solve that. It's just a matter of time, and also it's also a matter of finding the right ways to solve them.
Yeah, last time when I was in Macau, also shared one comment with my friends in Macau. It's mainly about, it seems younger people, the younger generation, are living quite a comfortable life. And my view, maybe I will get the complaint too, about my comment. Say, when the younger generation get too comfortable, probably they would lose the edge to advance further to a higher level.
I understand your standpoint, and I wouldn't say no, but I would say that yes, there are some who feel, probably I can use the word complacent to a certain extent, but there are a lot who who are actually defying the general trend. There are those who want to be more. I would like to have my own career, my own different career, so to speak. I don't want to feel just like the rest. So the government is also giving a lot of opportunities to young people to develop different industries, particularly when we're talking about the creative industries.
Innovation center.
Innovation, and also probably finding ways for them to also maybe enter into a bigger employment market, say for example within China, especially now that we are developing the Greater Bay Area. So there are a lot of opportunities for them to step out of Macau. You don't always need to be in Macau to develop your own career. There are a bigger market outside. So we are actually giving opportunities for them to take their sights further than staying within Macau. A lot also has to do with the person themselves. So I guess there are always some who would want to be in a very protected environment, but there are always a lot who want to be, well, I want to defy the odds.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that people watching this talk in Macau won't be criticizing me for saying this, and I only envy them. That's all I'm saying. Since its return to China 20 years ago, Macau has prospered. The ties between it and the mainland have grown closer than ever before. The mainland is far and away the biggest source of tourists for Macau, whose numbers have grown from 7 million in 1999 to 35 million in 2019. The rising tide of visitors, combined with policies designed to support tourism, have helped Macau develop from a center of the gaming industry into a world center of tourism and leisure. let's move on to the connections between Macau and mainland.
Okay.
Or people, you know, in Macau and people from the mainland. Because before they hand over, it's almost like it's connected geographically speaking, but it's kind of separated in many ways. It's the same thing, I guess, you know, with people in Hong Kong and in mainland. We're connected in many ways, but also separated in many ways.
Right.
How did people see the mainland, people in mainland 20 years ago and 20 years later?
Obviously, we can't generalize everything. But I would think that the general sentiment in Macau is we feel attached to the mainland. Interestingly, even before the handover. Historically, we do have a lot of affinity with our, what we call our ancestral homes. My mom is from Zhongshan, you know, so that's why, yes, so that's why we have quite a big community of Zhongshan people in Macau. And then there is another group which is from Fujian province, so they also feel a lot of affinity with Fujian province. So it's not just because of the handover that we feel a lot of affinity with our ancestral homes, so to speak. Yes, I think mentality has always been there. It's just now we see a lot more people from the mainland has also come to live in Macau. Because of this, we're also adopting a lot of ways that people in the mainland are, you know, their ways of life as well. Say, for example, instead of using physical money or tangible money, a lot of places in Macau now do accept e-money and e-payment forms that are widely used in China. It's really getting a lot more close now, and a lot more interaction. Quite a lot of Macau people do come over to have their. Sometimes they just come over for a meal and then go back to Macau. You know,
Zhuhai.
And Zhuhai, you know, Zhuhai, and some of them even live in Zhuhai nowadays because, yes, unfortunately, the apartments are a little bit more expensive in Macau nowadays. So you do see quite a lot of traveling between Macau and Zhuhai, particularly on an everyday basis.
Well, we were actually having this talk in Zhuhai.
Exactly. And we've just come over to Zhuhai very easily.
Exactly. So it took you maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes?
Probably, yeah.
To travel from one place to another. Probably is going to take more time, actually, if I do it in Beijing. Traveling from one place to another.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and traffic is always different. So Macau and Zhuhai, geographically speaking, the two cities are just next to each other, so integrated very much so, but not only with Zhuhai, with the rest of the mainland, integrated in many ways.
Yes.
So with the younger generation, there is no doubt that they see themselves as Chinese.
I would not doubt that. If you look at the schools nowadays, a lot of the schools, not only in universities, but also in the secondary schools, they have started implementing the flag-raising ceremony as well. A lot of the ceremonies in Macau, particularly those that happen with the various local associations, not necessarily government entities, they also would have the national anthem played, you know, before major events. So I guess this is a lot of showing that, you know, that kind of affinity that we feel, and that kind of feeling that, okay, we are Chinese.
But at the same time, there is also one concern. Because Macau is Macau because this is Macau.
Yes.
It's a unique city. It's a unique position in history, in culture and everything. If Macau becomes one other city like any city in the mainland, then Macau loses its uniqueness.
No, but I think that what we are doing, what is happening, or what we, you know, and a lot of Macau people are very conscious about that, is whilst we are Chinese, but we're living in a one country, two systems location. And that's why we have to make very good use of, you know, our strengths in that sense. Means to say that, you know, and also within the recent, the Greater Bay Area, you know, development plan also says that, you know, whilst in Macau we need to develop as a world center of tourism and leisure, and also a platform between China and the Portuguese-speaking countries, there is a third element there, what we call, you know, we will have to use Chinese culture as the mainstream, but then a place, Macau continues to be a place where various cultures or different cultures coexist, and that is what Macau will continue to be, and we're also very happy and very proud about that, because that's what makes Macau different from other cities on the mainland. And every city on the mainland as we can see, is trying to keep their differences as well, whilst they are within the same country. I'm Helena de Senna Fernandes from Tourism of Macau. This is Icon from CGTN.
Let's talk more about you. I mean, why tourism in the first place? You didn't start as
I didn't study tourism.
Exactly.
Yeah, I studied business administration, marketing. Yes. At that point in time, I don't think we have we don't have the Institute for Tourism Studies yet. After university, I was actually working in a bank, interestingly. Well, because I got that scholarship, that's why. That's why I ended
supported
up there.
by the bank.
Yeah, so that's why I ended up there initially.
Yeah.
But then after a year, my aunt told me, "Oh, aren't you bored working in the bank? Please don't quote me as saying that working in banks are boring." But it's a very different kind of environment.
Yeah.
Banks, as we can see, very disciplined, very procedural. So my aunt thought that, I don't think you're that kind of person, So, there is the tourism department, which is a government department. Why don't you try it? And I said, government departments. At that point in time, in the 80s, we all feel that government departments are bureaucratic. Nothing really happens there. People are pretty. I would say very relaxed. So, so the first reaction was, wow, am I going to learn anything there? Would I be, as relaxed as they are? And then she said, tourism is slightly different. Give it a try. And because this particular aunt, I have a very, very high respect for. She's a very accomplished PR person, and she's a very, very elegant lady. So it's kind of like one of my idols at that point in time. So I said, okay, since you said it, I'll give it a try. And that's how I landed in tourism.
And since 1988, and you've been working with tourism ever since until now?
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you find the most attracting to you in the end?
Well, at the end, it really is not very much like a government department. Okay, it is a very challenging job.
Not that relaxing.
Not that relaxing, exactly. And you get to see a lot. You get to learn a lot as well, because we are competing on a world stage. We are not just competing with among ourselves, not only within the region. We have to constantly look at what people are doing, what are the new things, what are the new techniques that are available. And it doesn't really feel like you are on a, on a 9-to-5 job. We work a lot on weekends, and when people are relaxing, we are most busy. So it is a different kind of government work.
Yeah. Ever since then until now, over 30 years in tourism, and the tourist number going from 7 million to 35 million,
right,
up to expecting 40 million. That's tremendous growth.
That is tremendous growth, and I would say it is not just due to government policy. Government policy is one, obviously, from the mainland. They also give us a lot of very favorable policies as well, from the central government. But besides that, a lot has to do with the work of the industry ourselves, not only it's government as well as the private industry. There's a lot of collaboration there. There's a lot of work going on. That is also due to the ability to accept working with partners that may be your competition to a certain extent, but you find a way to collaborate. And
work with your competitors.
Yes, very, very sure.
Yeah.
We always, people are always asking, is Hong Kong a competitor or partner? But there's one kind of word that they have coined, which is called co-opetition. So we cooperate and we compete. But yes, it is challenging sometimes. In different markets you may be a competitor. In other markets you may be a collaborator. But well, that's what make it all fun.
So over the 30 years, I'm sure you've been involved in many projects that contributed to the growth of the tourism market in Macau. Tell us which one, if there is one project that you're most proud of.
I would say that every project is, we're very...
It's all your baby. I understand that.
Okay, one project which we really feel proud about, very proud about, is you know, the parade car both at the 60th anniversary, the National Day Parade, as well as the 70th anniversary, the recent one, the National Day Parade. We were involved in that. The making, the organizing of the Macao parade car. It's not every day that you can work on an event at a national level. So it is very difficult at times, because there are a lot of things that you have to be aware about, and also there are deadlines to meet. When you're working on events in Macau, it's rather easy, but then when you're working on events that go, national events, the requirements, all that are very, very different from your normal day-to-day tourist events. So these two are really, things that make us very, very proud. And we always say that not everybody gets the opportunity to work for those kinds of events.
Yeah, and Macau 20 years ago, definitely two different Macaus. And where do you see Macau in coming 20 years?
Probably bigger, slightly bigger in size, I believe. Yeah, as you know, we're still reclaiming some new land.
From the sea.
From the sea, and then we're also seeing a lot more infrastructure coming on stream. So I would believe that in the future it will be an even better place to live in.
So up until now, my impression is you've been always talking about your work, tourism.
Yes.
So again, I guess, this is your career. You've been doing it for over 30 years. So if you are just a tourist, not an official working for the government, where would you like to go for vacation?
I like to go to Japan for vacation. When I go for my own vacation, I don't like to do very adventurous things. I'm not a very good sports person. I don't go for very exciting or very exotic things. I would like to stay in a place which is comfortable, and also a place that I don't need to travel very long hours and spend a lot of effort to go to. So I guess that's why Japan seems to be a very easy place to go to, and also a very safe place to stay.
Yeah, for that, the same reason of being safe, and a lot of people are also choosing Macau to be the destination.
Right.
Back to your duty as an official. What's the best way to describe and introduce Macau to anyone who might be watching this?
Well, I would say that Macau is, although small, but there is a lot to look forward to. It has more than what catches the eye outside. So, so I would say come to Macau and explore and experience it for yourself.
Macau is indeed the place, and that attracts a lot of people's attention.
Right.
So the best way to know Macau is just to go and see Macau.
Sure.
Probably meet you in person too.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.